Do not miss your mark in life because you want to overwork yourself. I was just on the phone with one of my homeboys and I gave this analogy to him, right? Imagine you came to Earth, right? You were supposed to be this grand producer, director, musician, painter, whatever the case may be. By the time you were 32, right? So when you turned 32, by the time you were that age, you would have had everything that was aligned or somewhat destined in career wise and all the other type of stuff, right? But in your 20s, instead of spending time actually doing the things that was meant for you, actually writing the books, actually posting the content, actually starting the businesses, actually making the movies, actually doing whatever that looks like for you. And you spent your time doing 12 to 16 hours a day at a job, even 8 hours a day at a job every single day, you would have missed your 32-year-old mark. My fingers are black because I was rolling up. Y'all gotta work with me. But you're gonna miss that 32-year-old mark, right? Why is that? Because you weren't investing enough time to put the actual plays in motion that you would have needed to in order to hit that mark. A lot of us be like, "Oh, we're working hard, So we go get 2, 3 jobs, we start working these crazy hours, and then we're putting that work in, we're stacking up that money, we're being, responsible adults and all this other type of stuff, right? But by you doing that, you overloaded yourself and didn't give yourself enough time to actually be who you were meant to be in your life. So now you're going to be 32, still working the jobs, 32-year-old, still doing the things that you were doing in your 20s because you attached yourself to a dead end outcome. That you attached yourself to something that wasn't aligned with your purpose. Anything that's not aligned with your purpose is going to end up being a dead end outcome in your life. So don't overwork yourself in these crazy hours, man. I had to put all of this stuff in my notes because it was just all like hitting me in the moment. It was like, wow. Something else I wrote was you can't be emotionally attached to the outcome. A lot of us are going to start psyching ourselves out on this process because while we're doing it, we are emotionally attached to how things are going to play out and the fear of whether or not it's going to work, which is going to prohibit us from taking certain steps and doing certain things in our life because we're moving straight out of fear. The moment you stop moving out of fear and you detach yourself from the outcomes, you have an effort type of moment. You have more of an effort type of energy. And that effort energy is actually what helps you transmute and, manifest certain things into your life because it allows you to go all in. It's a different energy when an artist finally gets to the point where he's like, not an irresponsible all in, where it's like, I don't care, I'm just not doing anything. And all in, where it's like, I have an idea, I have a plan, I believe it can work. I'm willing to lose everything. I'm willing to potentially lose the cars, the lifestyle, even get evicted. I'm willing to go all in on this because I think that this could work. Those usually be the people that end up getting it. Those usually be the ones who get it because they're not attached to the outcome. They're like, if I get it, amazing. If I don't, fine. I've already accepted the reality of I'm possibly going to lose this. So, fine. Let's just do it. All emotions out the door. It helps you like take action. It's all like an action thing. And then another thing too. Imagine you're at a job for 8 to 12 hours. They're like, hey, go do this. Okay, talk to this person. This customer's coming over here asking you this, asking you that. Like your mind is getting took in so many different areas because of the job, right? In another reality, you could have been sitting somewhere, smoking, journaling, drinking water, I don't know. And then the exact thought that you were looking for to quote unquote change your life came to you. The exact thing came the moment you weren't at work. Because why? You had enough time to think. If you aren't giving yourself enough time to think, certain ideas aren't going to come to you because you're focused on other things. That's why they say creativity comes from silence. Peace comes from boredom. Silence is what allows you to be able to get certain downloads. Is for whatever it allows your vision and your clarity to come back. But if you're so caught up in doing things, I got to move on to the next thing. I got to do this. This client's asking for this. This customer wants this. My boss asking me for this. He's called like I'm supposed to be off work and they're calling me on my off days. Like they're literally disrupting your train of thought. And you're wondering why you don't have enough time to figure out what your purpose is. You're wondering why you don't have a why you feel like you don't know what you like. You wonder why you feel like you just don't know what makes you happy because you aren't giving yourself enough time to figure it out. You have to give yourself enough time to think about it. It's kind of hard to be dead smack at work trying to figure out your purpose when people are nagging at you, telling you to do different things. The moment you start going down the train of thought that even may be aligned on purpose, a distraction is going to happen and it's going to ruin that loop. That is going to set you back. So now, with thought that could have came to you in a minute, 2 minutes, you journaled it, just got so much clarity, it just got broken into months because every single time that train of thought starts, that business idea starts, that courage starts, it always gets met with something, gets interrupted, and it lowers your frequency back down. It's literally a vibration killer. Ideas is a very high frequency thing. And just that high frequency means it's so much easier to bring it down because it's already sitting at a high frequency. It's so much easier to manifest high frequency things than it is to manifest a low frequency reality. Why? Because manifestation within itself is a high frequency attribute. But we be shooting too low, or we don't believe it, or we don't be thinking that these things is possible. It it doesn't help. Overworking yourself does not make anything better. Sacrificing endless hours does not make anything better. Sometimes it's best go get the part-time job. Struggle, quote unquote. They gonna say you're struggling. It's sacrifice sometimes. There's jobs that I turned down clearly, especially with this film degree that I have in editing. In this remote space, there's a lot of things I can do. But I understand I need mind power and I need space to think to actually run my business. If this is what I want to work, I need to invest energy into it. My papa told me some game. He was like, whatever you invest your energy into grows. And as an 85-year-old man, he looked at me and said, it's damn near impossible to get rich while you are working a job. At some point in time, you're going to have to give that up because you're not going to have enough energy. You're not going to have enough time. Like I was telling my boy, I was like, when you wake up, those are usually your best hours. When you're fresh out of bed, fresh, nice and rested, you drunk you some water, those are the hours where you need to be waking up, working out, creating, writing, doing something that's actually enjoyable to you because those are your best hours. But long and behold, those are usually what jobs do. They take those best hours. They use your best hours. And God forbid, not even God forbid, because it's all each his own. Your life can play out how it wants to. But if it's taking the same energy that it's requiring you to use your business, like let's say you have a job in marketing and you go and try to build a marketing agency, that job in marketing is taking all of your creative juices and all of your creative flow. That if you would have used that same creative flow into your own marketing agency, you could have got those own results, the same results. Music, whatever the case may be. I hope the sunlight isn't too much. I guess just beaming on me. It's just a message. I guess just a divine. You feel me? Because the sun isn't even over there. The sun is over there, but it's bouncing off of a building and hitting me beautifully. That's God. You feel me? But yeah, man, you got to take time. And I think that's just the end all be all of this. It's going to feel weird. People are going to call you crazy. You're going to feel out of pocket. You're going to feel like you're just wasting time. That's what it feels like. It's going to feel like you're wasting time. But it's actually called alignment. Like, let me tell you a little story. And I'm going to end the video off with this story. I was doing Uber Eats, right? Because I was just overworking. Something shaky happened. And I was like, let me just dive in, right? My license expired, which automatically meant that I couldn't do Uber Eats no more, and I had to get it renewed, which means that I had to wait like however long the DMV was going to take for it to get in the mail. My bills wasn't paid when the license expired, right? So I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I low-key started panicking. I called my mom. I told her, I was like, just letting you know, I might be late on certain bills because I don't have my license. Like I'm gonna pay it. There might be late fees, but I'm just letting you know. It's getting kind of shaky, right? A couple of days, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this opportunity to just focus on what I need to do, focus on my content, calm down, rest because I have been working a lot. I'm a firm believer that anything I'm supposed to have, I won't lose. So let me just relax. Let me just try taking the easier route. I locked in on my content, started going crazy. A couple days later, I get a phone call from a client that I haven't heard from in months. Months. And he was thinking about me planning a project before I was even consciously aware of it. And that check hit covering the bills that was like left over, the ones that I couldn't get to because the license went out. God came right when I needed him to, or when I needed her to. But I needed to stop working. Sometimes God's like, I need you to sit and rest so you can receive this blessing. Because if you're in a chaotic energy when it comes, you might not read it right. You might mishandle it. You may not see it, or it may not even come to you because you're not energetically open to receiving it. Sometimes you have to be receptive to your own blessings. If you're not receptive to your own blessing, it's not going to come. You have to like sit sometimes, be like, you know what? And release it. I choked up because I was really releasing it. And and God meets you halfway in that path to surrender. It's all this big thing of surrender. You cannot be so afraid of losing your shit that you don't trust God. Sometimes, if you think and you truly believe that your idea is sent from God, you keep seeing signs, you keep seeing other people kind of doing variations of it, but they're not doing exactly what you're doing. You keep seeing all these, you keep like God is just like this. I keep thinking this is real. I keep seeing signs, like I think this is it. You need to take immediate action on it and give it space, give it creative space, because those things are typically the ones that work. The ones where it doesn't leave you alone. You keep seeing signs, you keep seeing examples of people who have achieved it or something similar is telling you something. But the reason why most people don't get there is because they psych themselves out before they get there by getting a job. Because you really have to understand that salary is amazing because it pays your bills short term. But as time goes on, if you don't get what you want, you're gonna start resenting that job. At a certain point, it don't matter how much money that job is gonna pay you, you're gonna start hating it if you actually wanted to do something different. Get what I'm saying? So it's always going to get to that point. And if it gets to the point where you actually don't hit it because of that, you're going to resent it even more. And then you're going to be in a position where you can only blame yourself. Then that's going to eat you up even more because you knew you had the opportunity to take the risk. Big risk, big reward. I'm not saying take stupid risk. I'm saying take big risk. Is this even a possibility? What do I have to do to go after this type of possibility, this type of risk? If it takes me having to live underneath my means, if it takes me having to probably make less money and live probably a cheaper lifestyle just so I can have access and be in certain areas and do certain things and make certain moves, and that's the sacrifice that you have to make. You have to always bet on the long haul. You have to always bet on the end goal. Don't bet on the short term win because the short term win always comes tomorrow. And then you're going to be sitting there, well, like, damn, I need a new goal. But if you focus on the long term win, not only does that hold you off and make you content long enough to actually build something sustainable, but once you get it, you cherish it a lot more because you understood what it took and the amount of grace and surrendering it took to actually get there. Alex Hermosi says something so beautiful. He was like, once you realize it takes longer than, once you expect, it doesn't happen as fast as you think, but it happens faster than you expect, everything changes. Once you can accept this is probably going to take longer than I think, and you just do it. You just go in. You just be like, you know what? But I know it's going to work. I don't know when, but I know. And you just go and you apply yourself. It always starts working quicker. It always doubles back faster than if you didn't take that approach. If you have stepped and you were hesitant, that's like in sports for my sport people. If you gonna shoot, shoot. Of course, they'd be like, oh, hezzy, pump fake, when you boxing, just faint and all this type of stuff. But you get what I'm saying. Certain shots, you have no business hezzying. It's like, nigga, you were wide open. Shoot. And it might go in. If it goes in, you go down in history. You go down as the great. You go down as the dude who scored and contributed to the team. If you miss, you know what? At least I took the shot. If you don't take the shot, you have to live with knowing either A, your team failed because you didn't take the shot, Or yeah, you just didn't perform because you didn't take the shot. You took an L in some facet because you didn't take the shot. God forbid it be a buzzer. You gotta take the shot. If you don't, everybody's looking at you at the game once the game's over. It's like you had a wide open shot. You just didn't shoot. We were only down one. We anything you any it doesn't matter if you were in front of the line or behind it. We just need you to shoot. It's that aspect. So yeah, man, I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. Dedicate yourself to your goals. Go after the things that you want. Don't make these things difficult and go all in responsibly. There's always a limit.